When you know truth, you know truth.
Wow.
It's as simple as that. Once you awaken, you establish what's called the knowledge of all treatises, the knowledge of all sacred texts.
Yeah.
And what this means is you can pick up any sacred text from any country, any lineage, and you know if it's a truth teaching
Wow.
or if it's not.
Wow.
And that's why when you pick up Sufi, you're like, oh yes,
Same, yes.
I can see now.
Wow, yes.
And this bit, no. And this bit, yes.
Yes.
And it's very, very clear. It's the same with the teachings of Jesus, which in the West people don't like to talk about, but it's the exact same thing.
Exact same.
The same thing. And then you've got the same thing in the Hinduism and the Upanishads, and the same thing in the Sufis. When you know truth, you know truth.
Wow.
It's as simple as that. Wow. And there are other support teachings. I don't know what you call them, but I call them non-harmful antidotes. So I try to explain that because it's quite important, right?
No, one second. I'm sorry, I want to cut you. Yeah. The first what you said, that thing, what that you know, then you know what
the knowledge of all treatises. It's a very old English word, but it means the knowledge of all sacred text. So you read the Bhagavad Gita, you don't think it's about a war, right? You read one of the Upanishads and it's a poem and it's about all these different deities and you know they're talking about true nature.
Wow.
So you can read the message within however it's delivered.
Wow.
When you read quotes from Jesus and he says, turn the other cheek, you know that doesn't mean let them slap me on this side as well.
Yes.
You know, it means to allow everything to be as it is, which is what he was saying. Yes. So you just start to develop the capacity to look at any truth teaching and you can see what it means because, and you know this because you're a great teacher, you are the truth. Right? And when you see that, you recognize anything that points to the truth, and it's also very obvious.
Very beautiful. I want to say just this here, one thing, that the word, the knowledge of all
treatises. Took me 2 years to say that word. Treatises.
Treatises.
Yeah.
In Patanjali Yoga Sutra, we call it Ritambhara Pragya.
That'll take me 2 years as well.
The same thing.
Say it again.
But I was thinking, Ritambhara.
Ritambhara.
Yeah, Ritambhara means
beautiful.
Now you know. And all knowledge you can know that it's truth or not.
Right.
Where the same that you can read and know it's not right or it's right. That this state. Ritambhara.
That's beautiful. Something I find so comforting is I have all these realizations, and whenever I share them, they've already got a name in Sanskrit. But it's so good because my response isn't like, I wish I thought of that. I'm like, oh, thank you, sage from thousands of years ago, for reminding me that we are the same. Yes. Happens all the time.
Wow.
All the time. I was talking to Bhaktiana, and I talked about super completeness, and there was a word for that as well. It's amazing. It's amazing. And just back to, I'll say it in a more simple way. Yeah. But in the Rishi teachings, they talk about there's an old discussion about cooking rice, and it's like the rice is the capacity to awaken, and the fire is the satsang, the teaching.
Wow.
That everything else, yoga, meditation, bhakti, everything else is the spices that make it more available. So one of the challenges we face today is people find that these support teachings and they think they're the main teachings, and it leads people astray, and they stay stuck in a cul-de-sac. It's still a good place to be. You're doing yoga, you're chanting, you're meditating, but you're not awakening, because awakening is not that. That's a support for awakening, and that's why your satsangs are direct awakening. Yes. The rest is to support.
Yes, to support. Rest is to come here for satsang, making ready so you can be with it.
Right, and then you can manage what comes up as you start to awaken. I think one of the funniest things is if you look at the older teachings like the monasteries and the Buddhism and in Tibet, you go and you practice for 5 years just meditating. Then another 5 years, they give you another little bit of something to learn. And then 15 years later, they take you into a space and they go, none of that's needed. You're already awake. I think, but for that to work, it's good that they had the idea that you have to prepare people.